Just waiting for Mr. Baker first. All right. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please. Anderson,
Present.
Dataford,
Present.
Doobie,
Present.
Palmaville,
Present.
Yaris,
Here.
Rabish here, Kuchar,
He's excused.
excused. 6 present.
Unfortunately, watching the weather, 4-letter word is right down the road. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know what that is. The kids are clapping and yeah.
Let it snow, let it snow.
No.
Addition, deletion, or changes to the agenda?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to add, under item 7 down on the bottom, move the adjournment to 8, but under 7, we'll have a closed session for student reinstatement.
Isn't that it?
Yep, I move to approve the agenda.
Support. Motion in support. Roll call.
Dataford,
Yes.
Yaris,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Doobie,
Yes.
Palmaville,
Yes.
Rabish, yes. 6-0.
Community comments on the agenda. Okay. Spartan Spotlight.
Thank you.
Members of the school board, I have the honor of presenting this month's Spartan Spotlight to Mr. Matt Kaiser. Since the moment Matt has walked through the doors here at Pinconning, he has always been a team player and a bright spot in our staff. No matter what is going on, you can always count on Matt to have a smile on his face and a positive attitude, and that attitude is contagious. You can see that excitement and energy when he teaches, and you see how positively it affects the learning environment for his students. He has always stepped up when needed for many things, whether it's mentoring other teachers, subbing in classrooms, and just being an overall positive role model for his students. We are blessed and fortunate to have a teacher like Mr. Kaiser. And Pinconning is a better place because he is here. Your Spartan Spotlight for the month of October, Mr. Matt Kaiser.
Yes, now we'll have a presentation.
I'll spare you. I'll let the auditor speak.
Hi, I'm Rob, auditor. Present the,
Whatever you're most comfortable with this time.
6/30/2022 audit. I'm just gonna do a 30,000 foot view. Met with the committee earlier, went over some detailed stuff, but results of the financial statement audit, clean opinion. There's no compliance, no major program compliance, no government auditing standards, non-compliance items. We covered report changes, so if you're really familiar with our audit reports, there's 3 letters in there. The first one's financial statement report, just saying the financials are presented fairly, and then that's in the beginning, pages 1 through 3 in the back. I think it's about page 70, 72, somewhere in there. There was a government auditing standards report, and then behind that is a major program compliance report. 2 of those letters have changed, just the format has changed. There's an opinion on them. Again, on the financials, it says whether it's presented fairly. On the compliance ones, the other one that changed, it just says in compliance with major federal programs. They took the opinion that used to be on the second page of each of those reports, put it front and center on the top. Just a big change for us, but for those using the financial statements, I don't know how much change that is. But all 3 reports clean, no findings. No findings related to major programs. There was one item of non-compliance with a federal program. It wasn't a major federal program. It's really immaterial non-compliance is what we call it. It is in the back of the report. There is a end of audit communication letter. It's one of the items on the last page of that. In your food service funds, you are limited in how large a fund balance you can carry in there. That's USDA funds. It's all restricted to USDA use. They limit. They don't want you to build up cash in your food service fund. They want you to keep spending it. And it's a calculation. It's 3 months average expenditures of food service. So you take food service expenditure for the year, divide by 9. That's really only 9 months school year. Times by 3. That's the most. That's the highest your fund balance can be. Same position as a lot of other schools that got over. It's basically what's driving it is the additional COVID funding over the past few years. Really, all that's going to have to be done is once the audit's submitted, once MD gets around to it, usually late January, February, they'll send an email out to Chris saying, hey, you got to have a spend down plan. You got 10 days to give it to us, and you put on there what you're going to do. Whether it's buy a new piece of equipment or well, you can't charge less for food service right now, but that's part of the options is spend more or charge less for your food service. That's really all it is. Not a big deal, especially with COVID. MD expects it for a lot of schools. Like I said, a lot of the schools are going through it. Also on the back of that letter, we have a recommendation. This is more related to the major programs, but our position is we think everything's fine. We just like to see it just a little bit better, a little cleaner. Your major program this year was ESSER funds, Education Stabilization Funds, which you got about 3 or 4 different things you use it for. But all those programs come with compliance items. They can pick from 14, they usually pick 6. One of those is real property management. They want you to keep a detailed inventory of all the fixed assets you bought with federal programs. We've spent a little more time scrutinizing it this year than we have. It's also part of the compliance of food service, but food service is all in food service, so it's pretty easy to look at that. What we really want to point out and stress is you want to take the fixed asset listing and tie it to that inventory listing. Just if federal agency comes in, we think you'll be fine. They'll end up checking the box saying everything's okay, but it's just not it's putting together 3 schedules instead of having it on one or an addendum to one is what we want to see. But everything is clean as far as I'm concerned. It's just a suggested improvement there. I don't know if you guys flipped through the audit. One of the items I want to point to back. So see if it's on pages 71, 72. Let's list all your federal programs. Total awards expended for the year was $2.2 million if my eyes aren't failing me. That's way kind of in line with last year, but way higher than the normal years. Thinking back to 3-4 years ago before COVID, I think it was about 900, 900, and you're almost 3 times that this year. Probably drying up, probably not going to see much more after the 2023 years end. I don't think they can print any more money. I mean, I'm sure they can, but I think they're getting tired of doing that. So just as you spend stuff, you got to keep in mind, a lot of these funds are just one-time fund. The ESSER right now that you're working through, that's just one-time fund. And I think you guys have done a pretty good job of not hiring somebody that you're going to have to pay with those funds. That's not going to be there later. That was the key, finding other stuff to spend on just one-time fund. One-time funding. Other items of note. Cover. Total fund balance. Everybody looks at fund balance. Up $768,000 for the year. Most funds were up. Like I said, food service. Food service was in compliance last year. We had a good year, and that's $191,000 this year. So that's really what's driving that. Federal funds up $900,000, and everything else is kind of in line with last year. One thing I wanted to point out is Chris does a really good job with the budget, which is, I don't know what page it's on. I think it's back in the 60s or 50s. 50? Yeah, I believe her total budget expenditures are within 400,000 of actual. That's pretty good. I think about 14 million.
13.9.
Yeah, so 13.9, that's pretty good. Running a pretty good budget, staying in line. And that's typical, because usually right on half the budget and changing. We run into trouble with other schools, they don't update the budget, and that, it's a non-compliance with government auditing standards, but Chris has done a great job with that. That's all I really wanted to cover. It was a pretty clean year. And just have minor non-compliance, but every school's running into that. It's a suggestion. So, if you have any questions, and you want me to go into detail more on?
It sounds like, for the most part, the district's managing it pretty well.
Yeah, and hats off to Chris. I mean, that's her funds aren't necessarily fun. I mean, there's a lot of, hey, we want to spend this, and you get rejected, and trying to find something to spend on. So, hats to that with a lot of schools right now, those funds.
Very creative.
They say not to be creative.
They do say that.
The key is to find something you're already spending it on. And then whatever you save from that, to use on the other special projects.
So before, I'd like to circle back to the food service stuff real quick. If you guys remember, we warned you that could potentially be an issue. We got a large grant right at sometime in May, and didn't have much time to react, and we would have been over anyways, given the other stuff that we received. So we did talk about potentially looking at a new delivery truck for the food service department, and depending on what's required on the spend down, we might look at some new equipment for the kitchens, depending on where the need is. They are very specific that money gets spent for the food service department, and that it stay within the department, because it is coming from the USDA and federal funds. And one of the things that he noted is that we can't reduce the cost of our lunches. But that's because we are a CEP district and all of our kids eat free. We're not going to pay them to eat, but so that in itself is kudos to us, that we're able to feed our kids free breakfast and lunch every day and still be able to, maintain a balance that's reasonable on a regular basis without COVID funds. So that's thanks to the board and the budget committee, and I appreciate working with everybody and you guys backing us and Rob throughout the year. He takes a lot of calls for me so that we can address things before they're an issue. So it's great for him to work.
And I'm sure that Sue fighting back, she doesn't want any upgrades. And
Yeah.
No, she's requested that we just give that money away.
All right, any questions? All right, thank you. Consent agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the consent agenda and pay bills totaling $462,038.54.
Motion and support. Any discussion on it? Roll call, please.
Bedifer,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Doobie,
Yes.
Yaris, Rabish, yes, Palmville,
Yes.
6-0.
Communications.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. Couple of things. First, the soccer field update. You may have seen there's been some updates this week with getting the weeds tore out, so they're getting ready to hydro seed this week. They had to change the nozzles on all of the sprinkler heads to get more water out. A pressure situation, too much water was being shot out with the other ones. So their plan is to do the hydro seeding this week as long as everything works out. And I was told as long as the weather during the day is above 50 degrees, those seedlings will grow. It's not going to be perfect, obviously, by the time winter comes, but at least the seeds will be growing and they'll have some roots in the ground. Scoreboard bids, I've been looking at other companies. I looked at one company at first, and the scoreboard was really, really high because we do have a sponsor that wanted to pay for that for us, but it was 4 times the amount. Since then, I've talked to 2 other companies that are much more realistic, and we should be able to be within that sponsorship fee where we won't have to pay for it. Wanted to talk a little bit about grants, kind of going along with the budget stuff you've been hearing about. We have 4 grants that we are currently looking at. 31AA is about mental health. It's more money to help us with mental health, kind of like the presentation I did last week with the online services for parents and students. 97, section 97 is school safety improvements. You would have to spend that money on different things, within safety. It can be doors, it can be locks, it can be structures, but it's a safety type situation. 97C is safety assessment walkthrough. We are applying for all 4 of these, but the 2 are competitive. This one is a competitive grant where it's a $2,000 grant for a company to walk through our building and tell us where we have areas that need some safety upgrades. It could be the numbers on the doors, visibility, there's a lot of things it could be. So we're applying for that one. And then also 97D is a grant for a company to come in and do a grid of our area. So that way, if there ever was a situation, it's kind of like a military thing where they would say, A3 is where you go instead of door 20, and the police officers don't know where that is. And they would grid our whole campus and be able to share that with the police. So, and that's another competitive one. We don't know if we would get it or not, but we're applying for all of them. Staff shortage. Just wanted to update you. Custodial positions continue to get a concern. We had a new one last week, and seemed to be a good fit, good match. And it was one day, and that was it. Then they turned their keys in after a day. So we're continually trying to fill those positions, but in working through it. Future teacher shortage. You hear this word out there a lot, or this saying a lot, but I've been looking into it, and I wanted to give you a little history lesson because it was brought to my attention that in the spring, actually I went back and looked at our board notes, and from the spring of 96 to the spring of 98, we had 20 teachers and 5 principals retire. And there was a buyout at that time, so many new employees came within that time. That was 25 to 27 years ago. So if you do the math, those people are anywhere from 3 to 5 years of retiring. If they bought years, they can retire tomorrow for some of them. I have heard that it might be up around 30 teachers could be retiring in the next 5 years because of this large influx in the 96 to 98 years. That could be an issue for us that I want to start looking at now, start thinking about what are our options, because we know it's difficult to find teachers as it is. What I have done, I contacted CMU, Michigan State, and Saginaw Valley last week just to hear what their numbers are, how things are going. CMU has 85 graduates in December, 44 are secondary, and this is interesting, 17 of those 44 are music teachers. That's a big chunk of the teachers that are coming out of there will be music teachers. And they have 41 elementary teachers, 6 are pre-K that wouldn't affect our K through 12. But in the spring, they have 137 graduating in May. Again, 72 secondary, 12 music, and 65 elementary. So a little bit bigger number. MSU they said they didn't give me very good numbers, but they said they have around 200 graduates this year. And then Saginaw Valley has 80 in December and 112 in May, which they used to be up around 400, and they're less than 200 now. So the numbers are where they used to be to give us what we need. I did start talking with Saginaw Valley. We talked for probably a half hour about what can we do. Can we start getting some more student teachers to get them the experience of Pinconning and how welcoming we are, and maybe make some of them stay. He was very interested in doing that. The problem is every school is asking the same thing. They want the student teachers to get them in their schools. He did say that this fall, there were 40 openings at Saginaw alone. So kind of like we're talking about, in the next 5 years, they had 40 in one time. So they worked really close this year with Saginaw. I'm assuming that's where all their student teachers are, because I don't think we have any, right? I don't think we have any.
Student teachers?
Yeah, yeah, where we used to have 3 to 5 a semester. They were asking us, begging us to place them. So a couple things we started talking about when I was talking to the Saginaw Valley College of Ed. I asked them, would they be willing to come in and talk to our seniors, maybe juniors too, about the teaching profession, what Saginaw Valley has to offer, what kind of the route would be for them to become a teacher. He really liked that idea and said he would do that. And I also said, we have parent-teacher conferences coming up next week. I said, would you be able to stop in and put a booth in the lobby area with College of Education, Saginaw Valley, because we are trying to do that also with some unions and the trades. We were asking to do that same thing. So we might have a few nice tables available for seniors and for parents to see some of these areas that are out there that really need some help. So we're hoping to see that and just keep that connection going with them and trying to get some students here. He also mentioned the accelerated program, where if we had people in our district that had a bachelor's degree but not the teaching certificate, the options that they have to do the accelerated program I think within a year, they can be a teacher and be in our building. So that's another option that's out there. I looked at the MDE because they're always talking about teacher shortage as well. There are 2 bills out there right now. Senate Bill 861 could help us, and that's to accept teacher licenses from other states, because currently we do not accept other states' licenses, where other states accept ours and our teachers, can go there. So that's out there, and also Senate Bill 942, very similar, but it's for counselors, because we have a counselor shortage as well in Michigan. So that would allow them to come to us and use their certification from other states. Any questions about the staff shortage before I move on?
Did he mention, or she, schools are taking people with bachelors and paying for their school? And they're
He
grading
did
it,
say, he did say that schools are getting creative. If you have a parapro, that's the Grow Your Own program. Some people that don't even have bachelor's degrees, if they're interested in it, schools are helping out, maybe with small little grants, not paying for their whole education, but helping out in certain ways to, get them to stay with us and be a teacher in our district. So there are creative districts out there trying to get their own teachers to complete their school and come back.
I know Saginaw's doing it.
Yeah. Yeah. And a late addition, because we just found this out today, Chris talked to our company. We had a question last board meeting about the strobe light for emergency situations if there's a lockdown and we have our marching band out on the field or kids coming back from lunch, so they would know not to come into the building. So the company will have the strobes in their building on the 17th, and it takes a couple weeks to install them. Now, does that mean they'll be installing them on the 18th? Probably not, depending on how many jobs they have. But at least the companies will be getting the strobes that we have purchased, and we'll be getting them soon. And my final thing, just wanted to thank Ms. McClavey for her diligence in keeping the books and audit clean. That's very nice to hear. We're very happy and fortunate to have her, so I want to thank her for that.
One question. What do we know on the asphalt? Did they ever come back out?
They did. I need to get with Paul.
Okay.
And have him look at some stuff.
Okay.
But the cost was considerably more than we were thinking, because where the driveway is, there's no excavation. If we slide to the side where the grass is, they have to go down and start and work their way back up. So.
Okay. Andy, I got one, the soccer field.
Mhm.
So we installed the new pump,
Yep.
right? And we've tested it
Yes.
before we hydro seed, and we know everything is good. And,
Yeah.
is there any intention on putting the posts in before fall, along that west side?
I don't think so, because we're not gonna be playing in spring. With the seeds not being, I mean, if we would have been able to hydro seed a month ago and the grass would have been growing nice, maybe we would have had a chance for the spring, but with the seeds, the hydro seed just going in now, I've been told it takes a spring and a summer, 2 growing seasons before you can play on it. So I think we have some more time. I've contacted a couple companies about the posts, and I don't think it's what we wanted. It was a ridiculous amount, and they had fence, and it was not what I wanted anyway. So I said, we're gonna slow down, take our time. We're not gonna be needing them anyway in the spring. The hydro seed company did tell me there's an outside chance maybe you could play in June if you had a perfect fall and winter and spring, maybe the last couple games of the year, which if that's the case, we would have time to put those posts up in late May when I'm sure it would be drier. But yes, we did. I went out there the day they put the pump in, and the company came to change the nozzles, and he's fired it up, and you could see that they were crossing. So every spot, he guaranteed that there would be no spot that was not watered with the new nozzles and the new pump and motor. So
Good.
it was successful.
All right, that's what we want to hear, success. All right, moving on. Student representative.
The esports team played their first competitive matches last Thursday. The Spartan Spear were not matched with another team and received a forfeit win. The Spartan Shield team was defeated 3-0. The team looks forward to competing this coming Thursday when all team starters will be present. Student Council. The Fall Blood Drive sponsored by Student Council will be held on Tuesday, November 1st from 8 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. in the all-purpose room. Morning appointments are almost filled, but there are many afternoon slots available. Community members are encouraged to visit the high school Facebook page to find the link to register to donate. Student Council will once again be sponsoring Halloween in the Hallways on Monday, October 31st, 6 to 7 p.m. Children from the community are invited to participate in this warm, dry, and free trick-or-treat event. 10 members of Student Council will be traveling to Frankenmuth to attend the Fall Leadership Training sponsored by MAHS on Monday, October 31st. Students will interact with students from across the state when learning team building and project ideas. Student Council will once again be sponsoring the U of M MSU Challenge of the week prior to the big game. Students will be encouraged to donate their preferred team. The school that raises the most money will hear that school's fight song over the PA, and students wearing clothing featuring that team will be released early for lunch. All funds raised will be donated to a local charity. The National Honor Society. NHS induction will be held on Thursday, November 10th at 7 p.m. 23 new members will be inducted on that date. NHS is considering moving induction for next year's eligible students to this coming spring, so the organization will have a full roster to begin the 2023 to 2024 school year. Prom fundraiser. The junior class is currently sponsoring a Pampered Chef fundraiser to raise the funds to offset the cost of prom 2023. Interested buyers can access the purchasing link by visiting the high school Facebook page. Varsity soccer. The soccer team recognized and thanked their seniors, Blake Monero, Ty King, and Carson Parks at tonight's senior game versus Standish. The varsity soccer team will face Gladman for their first district game on Wednesday at 5 p.m. Spanish 2. Miss Papke's Spanish 2 class participated in a cultural experience last week when they made and then ate gazpacho. Safe to say that students will most likely not be making and eating gazpacho on their own anytime soon. Peer Mentors. Peer Mentors will be sponsoring Red Room Week, October 24th to the 28th. The goal of Red Room Week is to raise awareness about anti-bullying and anti-drugs.
Thank you, ma'am. Report from administration staff.
Our numbers for our grants. So we are up for 98C, not to be confused with all the other ones. So 98C is going to give us federal funding to address learning loss as part of the governor's emergency education relief and part of the ESSER 2 funds. And so every year, we've done this now for a couple of years, and in the past, we've used it for summer school, which we are going to continue to apply for it under summer school with paraprofessionals, certified teachers, and then on top of that, we would like to hire an additional 2 paraprofessionals at the elementary level for each of the buildings, just to help with the learning loss. Looking at our data, our test scores are really good. We're above the state average, K through 12. It's really neat to see. We met with the elementary teams the last 2 weeks for our data assessment curriculum. Fantastic conversations about curriculum, where it's going, discovering where we need to tighten up some things, maybe some extra, again, teacher shortage in addressing classroom sizes. That's where the need for extra paraprofessional help will come in as well. With the learning loss, the state test scores don't really show that. Looking at our benchmark data from K through 12, which is in district, we did have some loss in the spring. And so being able to have those services mixed in with the district, especially over the summertime, to kind of help make all those connections.
Athletic side of things, we hired a varsity basketball coach. We've promoted our current freshman coach to JD, and we have things in the work for our freshmen. We are still, as we and I am still fighting for more girls to go out for our junior varsity and varsity basketball team. Seems like every day I gain 1, I lose 2, or I gain 2 and I lose 1. Currently fighting with some of the girls about working. So for example, I had 2 girls that just backed out because they got jobs, freshmen and sophomores. So the next step is possibly confirming that we are only going to have a varsity team, and then working with our 8th and 7th grade coaches to make sure that our girls are continuing to grow and wanting to be there for our next year, making sure we have things in place. As well, we just, myself, Mr. Woodruff, and Mr. Kowalczyk just met with 2 parents about an athletic committee, future ideas such as fundraising, how we can promote coaching, and continuing to raise the bar for our student athletes. And that was great. That just took place today, and we have 2 active parents, which I'm sure there'll be more. But I told them in our meeting, as well as Mr. Woodruff, that it's the parents like them that will continue to help spark change here. So over the next year, we're hoping to have some more fundraisers to give back to our sports teams and continue to put things in the works.
And I'll just kind of piggyback off that a little bit. Had a lot of parents reaching out. Last year, I started a parent think tank. We meet before board meetings once a month to just bring ideas to the table, and a lot of parents are excited about that starting back up, and it's really nice for them to actually seek me out. You know, it's really showing that they're feeling more comfortable to, and we're seeing it at these board meetings. When they're coming to the board meetings, they're voicing their concerns and their gratitude for what we do. We're excited to be involved in, you know, the growth of this school, so it's been really exciting, and tonight was a perfect example with the athletic committee that we met with. So very exciting stuff.
This Friday at Linwood's our popcorn day, and dress as your favorite sports team. The kids are getting excited about that. They always love popcorn day. Feel free to stop by and get some popcorn. And then on Wednesday, October 26th, we're having our what used to be trunk or treat. We're moving it into the building, so it's now a Fall into Reading Fall Festival, where the students will come trick or treat, receive a book and some reading strategies. So feel free to stop by for that, 4:15 to 5:30 on October 26th.
Tomorrow we have a food focus meeting from 3:15 to 3:45. If anybody wants to come talk anything through, I'll be there. We are also on Thursday participating in the National Apple Crunch Day.
We ordered Michigan Gala apples, and those are going to be locally sourced, and that's what all of the students in the district will be eating for fruit, as well as some other options if they choose, but we will be offering that. So that will be on Thursday.
Where's that food meeting at?
Pardon me?
Where's your meeting tomorrow?
Tomorrow it's our food focus, and it's just an open,
Where's it at?
it's in the cafeteria here from 3:15 to 3:45. It's called monthly. There's a flyer over here, and it gives the dates for the whole school year, so that if you can't make one, maybe you could get another one.
Gary's new to that.
Pardon me?
Gary's new to that. We didn't have it before. And
Check it out.
it was something Sue did to
I haven't seen anybody yet.
talk to the parents and they had complaints and concerns. Mr. Sanford, you got anything?
Nope.
Nothing at all.
Not today.
Wow. All right. Reports from board committees.
The budget committee met here tonight at 5:30, and you heard what we heard, so.
Short and sweet. Thank you. Non-consent agenda.
The non-consent agenda, Mr. Chairman, make a motion, we accept the 2021-2022 audit as presented.
Support.
Got a motion and support. Any comments? Nothing? Do a roll call on that.
Badiford,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Doobie,
Yes.
Yaris,
Yes.
Rabish, yes, Palmaville,
Yes.
6-0.
Public comment.
I'll give it a shot.
Sure, sir, go ahead.
To Andy's surprise about the number of music graduates, music teachers, my daughter-in-law just graduated in May from CMU as a music teacher. She started when my son was employed by CMU. He, 3 years ago, transferred or got a job with MSU. MSU does not have a music education program. CMU is one of the, I think they said 2 or 3 in the state that offers music education. That's why they have a lot of those, because nobody else does. So, FYI, just taking personal knowledge that, yeah.
Now, you know, if they can get it there and it's accepted in other states, it's probably a pretty good reason.
She didn't have a problem there in Lansing, obviously. She didn't have a problem finding a job. Music teachers are, well, you know,
So we,
yeah, we done that. If they were still here, I had it in for.
We're very fortunate we got a good one.
all right. Any other public comment? Okay, I need a motion to go into closed session.
So moved.
Motion and support. We won't be doing anything after that,
I'll do it.
so, we'll be closed session. What's that? Do a vote. Do a roll call, go ahead.
Go ahead.
You don't have to be roll call, you can
Okay.
You're close to that.
Yeah.
Okay. Badiford,
Yes.
Anderson,